Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Mind Over Matter. Today we have a great guest, David from Cashflow Syndicate. He is the co-founder of it, along with his buddy Mason. They got a great course for learning how to email market, copyright, everything you need to know to get rich online, pretty much. Um, Me and Kevin decided to join his course a couple weeks ago. We found it on Twitter, and luckily enough, David gave me a one-on-one to kind of teach me the ins and outs of online marketing and everything, which is exactly what I've been wanting to get into since I got out the army. So he gave me a one-on-one, and I had the balls to ask him onto the podcast. And luckily enough, David, thanks again. He came on the podcast. He's got an incredible story, down to earth. Man just works his heart out, really trying to grind for his future. And me and Kevin are trying to do the same thing. Hopefully, our listeners are as well. If you guys are down in the dumps, need motivation or anything, this is the perfect episode. We talked a lot about self-doubt and kind of motivation, hitting the lows, how to get past the lows to eventually get to the top, what to do in the lows. There's just a lot of good information. I really enjoyed recording this episode with David, and hopefully there's more to come. Um, Go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, follow David's channel. We're gonna have a couple extra links down there below as well. Feel free to support the friends, and have a good day. All right, and we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to Mind Over Matter. This is the first episode. Actually, our guest is below us. Interesting, but we got David. He is the co-founder of Cashflow Syndicate. Great online salesman. We'll get into it all, but just wanted to start recording already because we already jumped into convo. Kev, how you doing today, though?
I am phenomenal. Been following David on Twitter for like 6 months, and I'm super pumped to have him on. So let's get into it.
I appreciate that. How you guys doing?
Good,
Phenomenal.
good. Very exciting.
Yeah. I don't know if that intro did me justice, but yeah, I do a couple. I do a couple things. I eventually sometime probably have you guys on my show. But yeah, dude, I appreciate it. So I kind of been in the game a little bit. And we were just talking about, like, right off camera. I told you guys press record. We're just talking about this idea of, like, when you buy shit, like, even when you start making money, like, you still feel, I'm like, yo, I was broke. I'm never gonna be one of these people that's like, oh, I don't care. That's not a lot. Like, there's so many people that are like, oh, like 8 grand. I fucking called Luke out about it. It's like, there's like, oh, 8 grand isn't a lot of money. I'm like, dude, that's a lot of money for most people on planet Earth. Like, I'm never gonna be one of those assholes who, like, discounts the value of a dollar. And I don't think that's a good mentality to have, because you want to, like, when you lose respect for something, then you lose it, right? So
Yeah, the context was I asked David, at what point is it like you stop noticing? So I'm thinking like 10 grand, let's say, he could just go drop and it wouldn't be a big deal. And he was like, it's probably closer more to 2 or 3.
like, you're always gonna feel that. Now, granted, if you have millions and millions of dollars, you're not really going to care. I mean, but you should still care. It's like, yeah, it's 2 grand. Like, I'm not like, the goal when you start making money is to get rich, right? You guys would get rich, right? We were just talking about that. The goal when you get rich is you have to keep it. You have to stay rich. Going around dropping 10K on Gucci shirts every day, right? You don't do that. So it's not something that like genuine, like, I don't understand how people can say that. Like, okay, yeah, like when you have a business, like, you know, especially right now, like where I'm at, I have like 20, 30 grand going out of the bank like every single month. That's nothing. That's baby shit compared to where I know some of my friends are. Some of my friends got like 60, 80 grand in business expenses per month, right? And I forget where I heard this, but you judge a man by the size of his problems, right? So I know I got to come up with that every month in order to pay the bill.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a lot different, and it's like, you know, people will be like, oh yeah, you're so fortunate, and which I am, right? But a lot of people will be like, you're so fortunate because um you're in a position, oh yeah, you get to travel the world, you get to do all this. I'm like, yeah, of course, like, that's amazing, that's how I built my life. But you also, like, I always have to remember at the end of the day, like, I gotta make sure I'm still doing the right things. And my best friend always tells me, he's like, always make sure you're doing the right things and doing the same things that got you there. So yeah, I guess that's a good way to start the show.
It's a real foot on the gas. I mean, it's remarkable to hear though. Like, you lose kind of perspective. I think. I mean, you can, but saying like, oh yeah, I only make 20, 30K a month. It's like, bro, that's that's more than like 95% of Americans.
Yeah, Kev, Twitter is this weird ecosystem, and I want everyone to kind of know this. Like when you're talking about like Twitter or something, it's this weird ecosystem where there's a bunch of people who are a lot of young dudes who are making a lot of money, and 500 grand a year. If you make $500,000 a year, you're a loser, right? Not you're a loser, but you.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not making like people like it's ridiculous. Like the community that exists in something like this side of Twitter, or the community that exists inside of something, let's say like Cashflow Syndicate, or some one of these private groups that exist. It's like everyone is just so foot on the gas, and it's very easy to fall victim to this comparison bias. Where this guy's doing 50 grand a month, like or one of my friends does 200 or 300. Like it's so easy to compare. You have to always remember where you come from, right? What your path is, what your journey is, and just go from there and play your game instead of trying to play someone else's. But it's this weird thing where it's like people get discouraged if they're not doing at least like $300,000 to $500,000 a year.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when I first started following this. I'm like, dude, I'm a fucking ass. Like, I don't make, $500,000 a year. Like, what the fuck am I doing with my life?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
So it's very strange, but the way I see it is like you always gotta, and always remember, like, and I've said this on multiple shows, but always you gotta, like, most people, especially when they see success, right, in something like social media, you always have to be cognizant of the fact that most people, if not everyone, is playing some sort of character online to either cater to some sort of audience, to be a personification of themselves out of their own ego to make them feel better. So when you have success, say you're completely fraudulent, right? And you have success posting like, oh, I made $1 million today, whatever. Like, there's a lot of guys that fake Shopify screenshots.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to say who they are, but there's a lot of guys who have come and go in this space who've faked screenshots, faked businesses, just chilled courses, all this type of stuff. And it's very easy to be a person, especially if you're just starting out. Like, let's say you're a young kid, you're 22 years old, you're faking Shopify screenshots, and you're making 10 grand a day from a course, right? That's not going to last because you're not building anything significant. Also, if you're a fraud, somebody's going to find you out. Now, if you have that type of level of clout and success, and say you get kind of popping, right? You're going to continue that behavior because it's what you associate with positive reward systems. So you always have to fucking make sure, and you see this with like these famous dudes that they come in, they crash and burn, they have a crazy, not on Twitter specifically, but like in real, like in life, like a famous child actor reaches a peak, gets addicted to drugs, crashes and burns, right? When you don't know if you don't go through some sort of progression, not only in how you build a brand or talking about social media, then like you're going to get it too fast, and there's going to be a correction, right? When the market in stocks goes up, 30%, there's always a correction, right? And that happens with people too. So people are always playing, and the reason I say this is like most people don't realize that like everyone to a degree is a character and playing a caricature of themselves, right? You see that sometimes if I write a tweet that kind of pops off, and it's like, I don't understand how it's like something that says like, I don't understand how people in Southeast Asia are not jacked and strong and eating the best food and surfing every day and tan, right? You guys are bug men. Like, you guys are sitting in the cafe on a laptop. Like, what are you doing? Right? Like stuff like that. It's like, that's me being like, I'm not like that for the most part in real life. Like, I'm not just sitting there hating on people that go to Southeast Asia. I'm like it's just a thought, and then you personify the thought to get attention, because the attention, when you use it in a certain way, you can use that attention for good. Right.
Yeah, it's a
So,
little bit of advertising on your own end for yourself.
but it's and the reason I say that is, like, I don't think people understand social enough. It's like, when you get it too fast, if you associate something with positive reward, then like you're not gonna have that longevity and that staying power. And it's like, it's very easy to look at that, about like all these guys thinking like that's the real them, when it's really, you're just looking at an amplified version, right? Like, I'm sure, like, especially like Trevor, like when you jumped on like some of our calls, like, I'm kind of a bombastic person, like I'm kind of like a, in your face, because that's how I have to amplify that thing that I do in order to get the message across in the best way possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's about the tactics behind it. And like, it's so easy for, like, even me when I was younger, when I was about 21, I was looking at guys doing like, $500,000 a year on Twitter. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm a loser. I'm doing like 150. I was like 22 doing like 150. I'm like, what is going on? So I was like, I got to step it up. I'm like, what? So yeah, so it's very easy to get caught up in like the keeping up with the Joneses, or caught up in the rat race. And you always, 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 anyone that's going to listen to this, like, it's something that you always rediscover. But a key is to always continue to do the things that got you to where you are. Because if you forget that and you lose respect for it, like I said, then you lose the thing that you got.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that with guys, like they start getting in shape, you get a few chicks, and then they just stop going to the gym altogether.
Yeah.
Countless times, bro.
Yeah. Well, we did kind of just jump right into it because we had a conversation going. But David, you said the intro didn't do you justice. I wanted to get into your background, but we didn't have the option there. So where do you kind of come from? Where you born? Where you raised? How'd you get into the space you are in now?
Yeah. So it's a wild story. I gave a long version the last time I was asked that question. This time I'm gonna give you guys the short version, because I want to save time. Originally from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. How'd I get into what I'm doing now? I was in sales for over 2 years collectively. I did very well. I was completely obsessed with learning the skill, and I put in the effort. But now, co-founder of Cashflow Syndicate. I am the host of my own podcast, which I'm going to have you guys on at some point.
I will fly out there for that.
That's called the Syndicate, and I'm looking to start doing that in person. I've done, pretty much everything under the sun when it comes to online business, and found myself in this weird echo chamber of Twitter where everyone is making over $500,000 a year and calling each other losers because of it. So, world traveler, and I'm right here as I'm talking to you guys in Stockholm. And so, I do a lot of things, and it kind of doesn't feel real. I guess I'm just living the dream.
So when I was growing up, they never told us really about, like in high school, right? They never told us about sales or fucking copywriting or marketing or nothing. How did you get that like seed in your head, I guess?
Oh, so I grew up like, it's something that I usually don't really talk about. I'll talk about it. So I grew up like, my parents split up when I was 5. And I remember as a kid, like, always like wanting, like, not like, I really didn't want for anything. My basic needs were like good. But I remember there'd be like a video game that would come out, or like, when we were like 6, 7 years old, like one of the Pokemon games would come out, and I wanted to play that, but like I didn't have the system for it. I had to wait till Christmas. And it was like little stuff like that. And then later on, as I get older, like, really sitting down like with my mom and like having really like hard conversations, and just like seeing her like work so hard. And it's something I'm really private about, but she worked her ass off, right, to provide for me. And I saw how that other side, like I saw how it is, like when you're growing up as a kid and your family
Wow.
like doesn't really have like, you know, I was all right. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, my mom did a great job, but you know, never bought new clothes for herself. Like, she was always taking care of me, always taking care of me, always taking care of me. Um, Literally, the priorities were rent, food, and that was it, right? So I saw how that other side of life was, and I knew that, you know, when I started to get older, when I started to get a little bit more hip to the game, I kind of realized that and through this weird rabbit hole that I got myself into, I kind of realized that I'm gonna need to learn something that's gonna get me paid, right? And I was always very entrepreneurial, you know, selling dollar store toys on the side of like outside my house for like $5, right? To buy the new to buy like
Oldest trick in the book, bro.
Yo.
like you know, and I wasn't doing that like all the time. You know, to say that I was doing that all the time and I was like really money hungry would be a lie. That wasn't me. It was like, you know, occasionally when I wanted something, I would do that. And I got really interested in business and economics when I was really young because I used to play a game called RuneScape. I don't know
Oh,
if you guys
let's
ever played.
Oh,
go!
runes.
Let's go! Yeah.
So, like, you know, like you're like I'm like 7, 8 years old, and I'm selling and like you're selling lobsters
Yeah,
at Barrel.
man, I could type, bro. That's the quick.
You're selling lobsters, right? You went fishing, and like, and then, you know, obviously, like I played that like growing up, like religiously. Like
Yeah.
I used to nerd out,
I
man.
was actually thinking about hopping back on it, and I was like, I don't know
Really?
if I ever have time for that fucking game ever
You know,
again. I think you have to be a kid with no job to ever play that game, bro.
you have to be a little kid, or just have all the time in the world because, but you know, like stuff like when you know, and I think about those times, it's like, okay, well, like I was figuring out like, okay, like if I buy like, you know, merchanting and like, you know, buying low, selling high, like, and you're like trying to maximize like how much you can get paid. And then I started to realize, I was like, oh shit, like I'm really like I really am interested in how this stuff works. Like being a 9-year-old looking at the price item graphs, trying to predict the trends to hit, you know, to make a couple 100,000 gold on the game. Like I'm like, oh shit, like okay. So of
Market
course,
trends, bro. At 9 years
so
old.
that was the original crypto trading, man. Like that was the original.
Except whoever could type the fastest wins.
So
Selling
you know,
lobster, selling lobster.
literally, so I was just really thinking like, okay, like this is something I'm really interested in, like, and I think like I'm really interested in business because like how, and then I started to apply like the stuff that I was like learning from playing this game like into my real life, and I was like, okay, well, I'm really not only good at this, but I'm really like I have that natural not only ability but the natural inclination towards this. This is what I like. So I kind of realized I was like, all right, like I'm 12. I'm gonna go into high school, and I'm like, okay, well, I want to study business, I think, and they're all you know, they're all asking you what you're gonna do. I'm like, okay, cool. So studying all this shit until I get to college, and I get to college, and I realized I was like, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur because I used to watch Shark Tank reruns until 3 in the morning on
Yeah.
YouTube,
Hell yeah.
from age 14 to 17, right? So I realized I'm like, all right, cool. This is something that I think I'm gonna do. I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to start my own business. And I didn't want to start my own business because like I thought it was not only was it cool, but I realized if I start my own business, I don't have to work a job.
Oh, bro, it's the biggest thing. So that was the biggest thing out of the coming out of the army. Me and Kevin sat down and we were like, bro, we got to figure something out because I cannot work for anyone ever again.
Hell
It is
no.
so brutal to work for with a boss in general. Just because if they're telling me something, I'm like, dude, I know I could do your job, I just haven't. And then I think to
Yeah.
myself, why the fuck haven't I? And then I'm in a lazy piece of shit, and now I'm a failure, and now I just have to go do it. I just have to go start my own business.
Well, you know, it's a really interesting thought process, right? Like, so I hated getting, even as a kid, like I hated getting told what to do. And I was always really, really, really smart. So like, you know, I think I was like for 9 years straight, like had the highest like test scores and stuff. Like when I was in like, you know, grade school, like I like the like then I get to high school, and obviously like that dropped off a bit because I didn't really care so much about school. But I kind of started to realize, I was like, wait, if I run my own business, I don't have to work a job. I can just stay home, play video games all day. I was like, yo, this is great. So that was like that was when I was like, all right, shit, like this is what I got to do. And it didn't happen until I was probably about 17, 16, 17. And it really didn't happen until I was about 24. Actually, until I was 24. So it was like this 8-year period. Obviously, I went to college and I started throwing, I'm sure you guys have heard the story. I started throwing parties with my friends in college, and I got like, we used to throw some fun parties. And I used to make money. That's how I used to make money, was I used to charge at the door. And I remember the last job that I can say, like the last like shitty W-2 job I had was when I was like 19. And I was working at Jersey Mike's sandwich shop, and I got fired after 3 weeks because I slammed olive oil too hard. Like, because they were like, oh, you're disrespecting. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's probably true.
You're disrespecting the olive oil, man. Come on, man.
Yeah, so it was like, you have an attitude problem. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I have an attitude problem for $9 an hour pre-tax.
Oh fuck no.
Who the fuck would it?
I would, bro. Goddamn, $9, bro.
Like this is like 19-year-old me. Like I already had like I had 3 years of like lifting under my belt, and like I'm still like decently kind of like I'm in shape obviously, but like I had like 3 years lifting under my belt, and I had this giant red polo on, this fucking hat, and I was like, do you want that Mike's way? And I'm just like, I could like me now who I am. I can't look at that. Me looking back and just like laughing at that, like, and just and side note, like it feels good to be the person that younger version of myself would look up to. And that's kind of why, like I said this before on a different podcast, but like that's why I do a lot of the things I do, is for that version of myself that like just had no clue. But yeah, like I was there, and then I kind of realized, like I found a blog called Wall Street Playboys, and then now they're called Bowtied Bull on Twitter. I think they might have sold the brand.
Wait,
but
what?
Yeah, Bowtied Bull on Twitter used to have a blog called Wall Street Playboys, and Wall Street Playboys was like the catalyst for most of what you see today as I want to say money Twitter. But it was all about investment banking. It was all about personal finance. So I found this at like 18, 19. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to study hard in college. I'm going to do investment banking. But then I ended up learning about sales, and learning that my natural ability was more inclined towards sales versus sitting there and being a spreadsheet monkey for 100 hours a week. So I started selling insurance and financial advisory and like wealth management, asset management. I did that for 3 months, and I was dog shit. I was 21. I was junior in college. I had no clue what I was going to do. And I was horrible. Like, it was like we were cold calling people at their job at work to try to facilitate a sales conversation while they were at their job at work. Like, it didn't make, like, reaching out to like natural market, like reaching out to your friends and family trying to sell insurance. And I got one deal, and it was I think a $200,000 or $300,000 deal. And it was just like moving my aunt's like investments into like different things, right? And I got her as the one client that I got 3 months of work. So I was dog shit. And Trevor, I know you wanted to talk about like, losses, right? And this is something that most people, they would just kind of skip. When I did this job, I never thought that I was going to be good at sales. I never thought I was going to make any money. I thought I was literally going to be fucking condemned to this. Like, I saw guys make 16 grand in a day. I think it was 16 grand. I think that might have been like the collective deal size, but they were making like 3-4 grand a day, but it wasn't every day, right? They do one deal, they make 3 grand, and then obviously you pay taxes on that, right? So I was like, what the fuck? I was like, yo, these guys are like 23, 24. They're making all like, what? They just made $1 grand from that deal. Like, so it completely shifted my reality from I have to work for 30 to 50K versus I can make 3 grand a day. But it was only if you were good. And the biggest thing about insurance, I don't necessarily recommend for any new salesperson to go into insurance. Insurance is a dated industry, but if you get really, really good and you're willing to sacrifice a year to 2 years to get really, really good, you will make money on year 3, right? Insurance as a salesperson is really difficult, and if you're not good, you're gonna suck. You're gonna really suck. Like, you're gonna be like me. Like, I wanted to quit. I never wanted to get on the phone and do a cold call again. And I think the most calls I ever made in a day was like 40 or 50, right? Nothing. But to me, as a 21-year-old, that was so difficult because I had so many limiting beliefs. All of the and to highlight, like, all of the things that stop people from being successful or achieving any type of success, right? Or going out on their own and starting a business and getting clients or doing freelancing or something like that. All it is the bullshit lies that you tell yourself of why you're not successful, right? Like, it's like, oh, why this person's gonna say no because of this, or whatever it is. I suck, dude. I went back that senior year. I had no idea. I was taking interviews at, like, what was it? Like, Key Bank for, what the fuck was it? It's like 35, 40K. Like, I was taking interviews at, like,
Not
banks and
bad.
stuff.
There
like
you go.
that.
A year?
Yeah.
Oh,
30, 40K a year jobs. I'm like, I'm sitting there.
Poverty.
I didn't have a clue. But my one friend was selling Yeezy, or he was selling, like, fake Yeezys online on Poshmark. And so that fall, I was taking interviews at banks. By December, my boy Joe, I don't know if he's gonna watch this or listen to this. Shout out to my boy Joe. He was selling fake Yeezys and fake, like, Cuban link bracelets on Poshmark. And he was like, yeah, I made like $4,000. I'm like, what? Hold up, bro.
Wait a minute.
And I'm like, I think I'm 21 years old at this time. It's December of 2018. And damn, that's a long time ago. And I remember, dude, I'm like sitting there, I'm like, fuck, like, I don't know what to do. So I went and I started doing the same thing that he did. And I started drop shipping the shit from DHgate to people on Poshmark. But I was the thing is, like, I wasn't scamming people. I wasn't scamming people because I said, okay, this is a replica, right? I remember I came home for winter break and I had $50 to my name. I remember I slept in till, like, I was like up I think I was up, like, partying all night the night before, but it was like a Saturday. And I woke up the next day and let me see. Let me try to find I don't know what email it's in. I have the screenshot somewhere. It might be on my Twitter somewhere. Let me go to Twitter really fast. And it was like $400 or $500 in sales one day while I was asleep.
While you slept in.
Changed my fucking life.
Yeah, while you slept in.
I was like, the fuck? So immediately, what do? I call my boy. I'm like, yo, I just made $500. Yo, what the? And of course, I'm like, all right, cool. And then I'm like, yo, like, Joe, like, yo, Poshmark is saying, I gotta ship this stuff out. I'm like, yo, I don't have the stuff. What do I do? And he said, here's what you do. He said, here's what I do. Here's what you can do.
This is about to be some sketchy shit, dude.
He said, go. He's like, okay, go get a pen. Go get a piece of paper and an envelope. Print out the stuff Poshmark gives you for the shipping label. And go down to the post office and send them a letter, handwritten letter, so it scans, and let them know that their order is delayed and that it's on the way.
Shut the fuck up, dude.
Bro, this is some real hustler shit. Some real hustler shit. So I had the name of my store, and I printed out on, like, a letterhead, right? And I went on Microsoft Word real fast, and I said, hi, whatever your name is. Hey, thank you so much for ordering from us. Just want to let you know, due to the volume of the orders, we wanted to send you this note and let you know your order's on the way. It's going to be a couple days, right? Bro, that shit was coming from
DHgate, bro. DHgate takes 3 months. I got a couple hockey jerseys from them.
because Poshmark, bro, this is some real, like, getting gritty. Like, this is some real, like, getting gritty shit. Because I had $50, bro. I didn't even have enough money to fulfill the orders, bro. I barely could pay for the postage to send the fucking out, right? And so I remember it was cold. I walked down. I could put my backpack on. I had the envelopes in the back. I walked down to the post office, right? Put the shit there because Poshmark, what they would do is they would hold your funds until you sent the item. So they acted as a broker, as an intermediary. So they would hold your funds, right? So I'm like, oh shit. Well, I need the money to buy the order, right? And ship the order. So I went down, put the post office. A day later, I had like 500 hit my account. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go. So obviously I send the stuff to the person. Bam, couple more sales. Dude, I got away. I made like $1,000 in like a week doing that, right? And then get a nice message, your account's been banned, right? So I got banned. They paid me my money, I got banned, right?
So you sent the letter just to like check that you sent something out, and then they would release your money?
Yeah, so they would release your funds if their thing got scammed.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
So they would release your funds. So, of course, so this was like 3 weeks on winter break where I'm like just going back and forth. I'm like, all right, cool, bro. I get back to school and I'm like, I could do this on a bigger scale because I'm always thinking one step ahead. Always.
Yo.
Deeper. Like I was telling Trevor, we had a coaching class. I was telling Trevor, I was like, yo, always think a couple steps deeper. Think this. How can you take it a level further? So I'm like, okay, cool. So I did like all the branding and stuff for the Poshmark store. I'm like, okay, well, why don't I just, I tried a couple Shopify things. Like I tried, drop shipping a couple times. Didn't work. Got a couple sales. Didn't work. But I'm like, okay. Okay, I'm gonna start a brand. So took the same name, threw a fucking website up, put the same products on there. And I was like,
every time.
And then I was like, oh shit, like right. And I was like, I just put pictures of the same products. I remember I spent like 2 days. I was in my room back in Philly, and I'm like just clicking, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm be a millionaire. Literally, that was my thought. I was like, I'm gonna be a fucking millionaire. So, of course, I realized, how are people going to buy my product if I'm not sending people to the website? So I do some digging and I'm like, oh shit, like I can really like get in some serious legal trouble for like if I sell like replica shit. Like, okay, so I have to pick something else. So I'm like, okay, I like clothes. I'm gonna start a women's fashion store.
Money.
I'm a women's fashion store. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm putting products on there. I spend like 2 days putting all these products up. And I realize, how am I gonna get people to buy my shit? Call my boy who we used to like talk about business, and he was like having a little bit of success doing drop shipping. And I'm like, all right, what do I do? And he's like, yo, you gotta just focus on one thing. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then my other boy ran up like $100,000. Remember those little bracelets with the king on it, like the gold bracelets, those beaded things?
Yeah,
He ran up $100K selling those bracelets.
Were hot back in the day, man. I remember those.
This is back 2018, and those were hot. Ran up like 100. So I'm like, oh, he's like, yeah, just focus on one thing. I'm like, okay, cool. So instead of like a big thing, I'm like, okay, cool. What am I wearing? I had a pair of blue light glasses. So I'm like, okay, let's just do blue light glasses. That works. That's a product people need. That's a product I use. So redesign. This is like a period of like 2-3 weeks. Redesign this, working on the copy. Okay, I have my $500. I'm going to start advertising now. Blew the whole advertising budget. No. $500. So now I'm back at zero. I can't even figure out how to do advertising. Of course, I'm not a quitter. In my life, I don't quit, right? If I'm not good at something, I'm going to learn how to do it. And I think this is a trait that's made me kind of like achieve the things I've achieved in the past, couple of years. I don't quit. When I commit to something and I do it, I'm absolutely obsessed. So I remember this was when Trump was president, and this is 2018, and this is when the government got like furloughed, right? Like the government employees, like I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was like government employees had to stop working because there wasn't enough budget.
Don't know if I remember it. I had to still work while not getting paid.
We weren't getting paid because we were in the army. Yeah.
Show up to work, but we can't pay you.
So, of course, I'm a hustler. This is what I do. I go down to the financial aid office because I got an email that day. I was sitting there, I was working on the store, like I was working, and I got an email, I had my school email up, and it said, if you've been affected by the government furlough, it was like pretty much, we have money for you. Bro, I was across the street. I went there that minute. I said, hey, I just got an email. I was like, hey, I just got an email. that you guys are, and I put on like I was like, bro, I knew what I was doing. Like I was throwing like, hey, I just got an email that if you've been affected by the and I changed, like I remember fucking vividly, I changed my body language, like instead of like being tall,
yep, cut them shoulders down.
Hey, like yeah, like
I'm broke.
Purpose. This is after I learned sales, right? So I'm like, hey, like yeah, like and I was like, hey, like my family got affected by the government thing, and it was like, so here's what they gave me: free books. It was $2,000 in free school books, and then they refunded me the whole check. It was like $1,700.
Oh my god!
One shot at a clip. I went from having my 500 blowing the whole advertising budget, 1,700 in my bank account. What do you guys think?
I'm a hustler, baby.
Hey.
I literally was like, yo, this is the most money I've ever had in like one shot. Like, I'm like, all right, fuck it, we're starting this business back up. I'm like, we're starting the business back up. That night, I had ads running again.
Yeah.
That fucking night, I had ads running again. So, that was kind of the story of like, that was like my first foray into the like really being in like the business space, right? Then I remember I was at a bar with one of my really, really, really good friends, one of my best friends, and we're at a bar, and we're drinking. I remember just hearing that first shop. This was, I think, the first sale on the store. This was like $600 in ads after. The first fucking sale on the store was cha-ching, and it was like $20, and that paid for the cost of like the beers that we had. And I was like, yo, I was like, yo, I jumped up off the seat like straight, like I was like, let's go. Jumped like a crazy person around in the bar because they had like the $5 pitchers of beer and shit. Because I knew we were drinking that night. But that being said, so I worked on that for so that was, I believe, January. I worked on that until April because my laptop ended up breaking. Didn't have enough money for a new computer. So I had to sneak into the school. I don't know if you guys have seen this story, but I used to have to sneak into the school and sleep in the school, like at least like, or stay up all night because they had brand new Macs in the computer lab. So that whole time I was learning e-commerce. I was studying like old like Jason Capital sales letters for his programs, and like I was learning copywriting, and like that, I think that period of time, looking back on it, was when I was really in the trenches. Like it was either new computer or shut down the entire business. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna make it work. I was doing like, and they had like Photoshop and everything. I couldn't afford Photoshop. And I remember like trying to edit like the ad videos, and I was learning copywriting. I was learning how to hook. I was learning all this stuff, and I started getting more sales. So that was months. That was every single day. Like I wasn't going out on the weekends anymore. I was working, and I genuinely thought like this drop shipping store was like going to be my thing. And I was running it about like break even, like barely any profit, a little bit of a loss, like pretty much break even for like 3 months. 21, about to finish school, and then now I had the school security and the school police like looking for me. Hey, you got to get out of here. Hey, you got to get out of here, whatever. And I kept telling them my story. I'm like, yo, I'm a senior. I was like, guys, I'm a senior. I got to finish my projects.
I'm down.
I'm really trying to finish. My computer doesn't work. I have to hand this in by tomorrow. Like, they're like, damn, man, you got a lot of projects. I'm like, yeah, it's a busy year.
I'm a senior.
I was like, yeah, I'm taking on 9 classes right now. I have to finish. I have to, whatever I could say to stay in there, right? To keep my business going. And I remember this one night I'm in there, and I get an email to the company, the Gmail that I had set up attached to the Shopify store. Cease and desist. And I ended up getting a cease and desist letter by a company called Felix Gray. And I put the story on Twitter. And they were telling me, you know, because I was studying finance at the time. They were like, you stole our brand story. You're infringing upon our brand story copyright or whatever. And it was in a language, bro. And I'm quite a good orator, and I'm very articulate when I want to be, obviously. But I have a very good command, and you guys know this by listening to me. Like I truly believe I have a very good command of the English language. Those fucking words were in a language that I don't understand. It was in legal
law speak. Yeah.
Legalese is what it's called.
Oh,
no.
No.
So I ended up that night shut down the whole thing. And it was like 4 months down the drain, barely breaking even. And then, of course, I had no money left. So all of that for nothing.
Man.
I was like, fuck. I didn't have, and bro, like my whole life was banking on this. Like most people don't know, like my whole life was banking on this, and I didn't have a job. I didn't end up getting a job like lined up out of school. I was like, fuck, like what am I gonna do? I'm like literally at zero. On top of that, I still had 6 credits left to graduate, and I had to take 2 more classes to get my degree next semester, right? So instead of 4 years, it was going to be 4.5, but I ended up like walking at graduation. So
good to go.
What the fuck did I do? So I take a couple weeks, I party, and I'm like, all right, like, you know, let me figure. I'm like, fuck, like I don't know what the fuck to do. And I go back home, back to Philly, back to my mom's. Week and a half later, I call my boy who had just gotten his natural pro card for bodybuilding. So yo, I said we always talked about. I'm like, dude, I needed something to happen, right? I was like, bro, I said, yo, we always talked about, you know, doing something like with fitness, like, you know, I was like, yo, like, look, you be the face of the brand, I'll do the systems, right? Like I was like, yo, I'll build the website, we'll get the products up, we'll work on the product together. You just do the marketing on social media, and we'll and like, you know, be the face and start telling people about the product. We're gonna make it happen. So we launched a company, or it was info products, and we were selling PDFs for $47 to guys and girls, and we ended up getting into like t-shirts, and I still have some of them somewhere, and like tank tops. But it was a fitness company, right? And I'm like, all right, cool, let's build the next Gymshark. And like, dude, I remember like the first day, like we did like $200 in sales, and it was pure profit. And I was like, fuck, like yo, we got something here. Like I went from I wasn't thinking I'm gonna go back to the sandwich shop. I'm thinking, yo, all right, cool. What can we do? Okay, I got $30. Let's get a Shopify store up.
Like the sandwich shop was not even an option at that point.
No, like, well, you know, even like back to the insurance job. I'm like, yo, like this is not I can't do anything else. Like I know how this works now. It's like, yo, I just spent the last 6-7 months of my life going balls to the wall with this, trying to make this work. I was like, yo, I know how to do this now. All I need is the capital and the backing. Like I know how the framework of this works. So I'm like, fuck, like all right, bam, let's run it. So we ended up doing that, and we actually ran that for like about a year, and I got my sales job on top of that. So I was running that while I was doing my sales job. We were spending money on some advertising and stuff. Most of it was organic. I think it ended up doing like a couple $1,000. But I remember I had a lot of fun, like going down to the t-shirt printer, getting the t-shirts printed, shipping out the t-shirts to everybody. Like I felt like it felt good, dude. I was like, it felt really, really cool, and I really enjoyed that. But I ended up getting a sales job, and I guess now we can talk about like some of the struggles and the losses. But
I mean, that was a struggle and loss. The whole story,
God,
man.
damn.
Shit, man was struggling.
That's like the thing is like that's how like people are like people only see like, and we were talking about this before, like people only see the W's, dude. Like that was a fucking hard year.
Yeah,
like,
well,
I had no way of. All I knew was like I knew that this e-commerce thing worked, and I knew I made a couple $100. So I knew if you can do something once, you can do it again, right?
Did you have any family or close family friends or something telling you to go do something else, like advising you not to do it?
I don't really remember, honestly.
No, because like I'm thinking about like, so when I got out of the military, that's how it was. So I got medically discharged. I was thinking I was doing 20. I have scoliosis. They said you got to go. So I ended up leaving. I was a helicopter engine mechanic. Same with Kevin. And when I got home, my mom and dad were like, dude, you'd be stupid. Because my uncle is a helicopter repairman. He's living in Guam making 6 figures. The company's paying for his house, paying for his children to go to private school, paying for his children to go to college, and then paying for their children to get into the fucking company he's in. So my dad and mom were trying to tell me to go do that instead. But I was like, man, I just can't go back to that again. I have to go do something new. And then that's where we ended up starting the podcast and going from there.
Yeah. My best friend that I live with in Los Angeles, like my best friend is a G, and he is probably one of the only people in the world, probably the only person that is like he says what he means, like he says what he means, and he always stands by it. And I have the utmost respect for him. Like that's my brother. Like we've been friends since we were 5 years old, like since we were babies, and we live together now. Like went to high school together, and we live together now. And you know, Jack, you might watch this. Love you, bro.
Shout out to Jack.
He is the only one I think in this world who really like. He always will tell it how it is, right? If he doesn't like something or like, and that's how our relationship is. If we're fucking up, we always check each other, and you need brothers like that in your life, right? And I'm an only child, but like we have each other and we rely on each other like that. And I remember being on the phone with him, and he always used to have to talk me out of dropping out of school. Like every 6 months, he would talk me out of dropping out of school. And I was like, yeah, like I'm building this brand, like, and he's like, yo, this is not it, bro. This is way before I even got like almost sued or anything. It's like, he's like, yo, this is not it. Like, this is not it. But now with all the stuff that I do now, he's like, yo, like, dude, he's like, yo, I'm so proud of you. You really built something like that is really helping a lot of people, and you're doing like, and so it's completely different. Like that conversation looks so much different now compared to like I'm building a Shopify drop shipping thing. So like, honestly, the only person that I can think of that told me was like, yo, that is not it, was him. But he was fucking right.
Like yeah, in a good way, yeah.
Yeah, you were sued and shit.
But you know, I never really listen to people if they tell me it's not going to work, because I'm a person that needs to see it for themselves. Now, it's an interesting perspective now because I have obviously like I've built stuff and I know how I thought I knew how the game worked back then. Now I really know how the game works. And also I have a network of very high level young dudes and high level young people who are fucking crushing it. So it's very hard for me to say like it's very hard for me to come to them or ask them about an idea. Like it pretty much like Mason is my go-to guy, right? Mason, my business partner. He's my go-to guy when I have an idea or if he has an idea. We always bounce ideas off each other because obviously we're partners in Cashflow Syndicate, but we always rely on each other, like for what we need, and we have a really good relationship. So if something isn't going to work, he's going to tell me why it's not going to work and how it could work, right? But after you build enough things, I know, like, you kind of know that all you need to do X, Y, and Z, like X inputs, give Y outputs. After you do things enough times, you can kind of have the Midas touch with anything. Like I know that any business I start is going to be profitable from day one.
That's what Seb was saying. He knows that if all his shit, if for some reason he went bankrupt, he knows in 6 months he'll be a millionaire again.
When Sebastian told me that in person, so he told me that in person, and I was talking to him about it on my show. When we were he was in LA, I want to say 6 months ago, was the last time I saw him. But we hung out for like 2 days in LA, and when he told me that, I was like, whoa. But now I understand that.
Yeah.
Right. A couple months after that, I realized, I'm like, oh shit, like now I get it. Right. And I'm not a millionaire yet, but most likely next year.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Like most likely by this time next year, like I'll be there. But that being said, it's just because I know I just got to keep pressing a certain button to get something out.
Yeah. So when you're taking the losses, even yesterday was a big loss for us, kind of, because we were just like, fuck, like we thought we had one. This episode we were supposed to film yesterday, so we were like, god damn it. Evan hit us up right after the email marketing dude asked us to do some work right away. So I was like, whatever, I'll do that. Then I was like, fuck it, I'll go to the gym. So I ended up going to the gym. I ended up running into first off, another podcaster. He's number one world's porn addiction recovery in Florida. That's
viral Twitter post.
I'm not sure. Frank Rich is his name. He runs a podcast called The Superhuman Life. We'll link it all below and stuff. But yeah, I ended up just running right into him. Saw him at the gym. Saw him with a shirt on. So I said, "What's up?" And now I got another plug out of nowhere. It just dropped out of nowhere after taking an L in the morning. Now I got a W, and then I go to my class later for college. So when you're taking those L's, what kind of just keeps you going knowing that there's something around the corner?
I mean, I know that's kind of the fact. Like, every single thing has been like, I could, that whole story, that whole period of like 4 years, right? Or years. I was just taking lick after lick. Like, I was getting my ass beat, bro. Like,
On the job.
Yeah. So like when you're down there and you're going to like going to the school and sleeping at the school and shit, like how do you deal with the self-doubt in your head? You have to be doubting yourself. No?
well,
Or
I mean, yeah, of course.
yeah. So how were you like dealing with that? Or were you not?
I don't think I had time for it. Like, I was, of course, you're thinking, like, I hope, literally, I said this, I was talking about this the other day. You can't kill hope, right? Let's say some shit. You can't fucking kill hope. You can't kill hope. Hope is an idea. You can't kill an idea, right? Hope is ingrained in faith, is ingrained in humans, right? And I equated it like, you think like, okay, those guys who were storming Normandy, right? Or the guys who were in Vietnam. My dad fought in Southeast Asia, so I know history very well. Those guys who were fighting in Ia Drang or in these battles, who they knew that they were not going to make it. The only thing they had was hope, right? The only thing that I had when I was doing that was hope. I just hoped it worked, right? All I knew was I was doing. Of course, I was downing myself, but like, you can't, to a certain degree, like when you approach it with a logical brain, you're never going to be able to think yourself out of your situation. The only way to get out of a situation is by action, right? You guys are ex-military. If you guys were out in the field getting shot at, can you sit there and think the bullets away like the Matrix? No, you guys
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Hang on, Russia. Give me 1 second. I'm thinking.
Or at best, shoot the fuck back.
Yeah.
So it's very equivalent to like, it's the same thing, right? Like, the only way you can get out of your situation, you can't think your way out of a bad situation. You have to act yourself out of a situation, right? I was sitting there doubting myself. I didn't know what the fuck was going on, bro. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was scared shitless, right? I had nothing. But also, when you have nothing to lose, right? The worst person to go up against in a fight is the guy with nothing to lose, right? When you're building a business, if you have nothing to lose, you're not really spending that much money, you're going to do so much better than the guy who has everything to lose, right? So you can't think your way out of a bad situation. You have to act yourself out of a bad situation, right?
Yeah. They tell us a lot of that in like army schools, is like the wrong decision is better than no decision.
Yeah, because you're making a decision, right? In action, like seeds of doubt grow into forests of inaction.
Whoa.
Right?
Say that again.
Seeds of doubt grow into forests of inaction, right? I can sit there and doubt myself, right? If I have a business idea, I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's not going to work. Maybe it's, who's more likely to go and start that, to go do that thing, right? Is it the guy that's sitting there thinking, oh, maybe it's going to work? Maybe, oh, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll do this. Or is it the guy's like, oh, I got this idea, bam, done, right? It's up, website up. If you want to talk about business, like website up, right? It's the smallest things, even like going and talking to girls, like, oh, maybe she'll reject me. I'm not sure if she's gonna, I'm not sure, bro. Like, what if? The guy who sits there and is asking himself, what if, versus the guy who just pulls up and gets an answer, right? Who's gonna do better? Who's gonna have more success? It's the guy over here who gets the answer, right? It's the guy who does something. So, of course, I sat there and doubted myself all the time. I doubted myself well into, you always have that mentality sometimes when you come from a lot of failure. What if it doesn't work? But it's illogical to sit there the entire time and think, what if it doesn't work? Because as long as you're doing something, you're getting closer to where you want to be. I doubted myself when I got back into sales. I thought I wasn't going to do well, and I didn't do well, right? I remember I almost got fired, and I had a fire lit under my ass because at the end of that month I was supposed to get a $13,000 paycheck. The first week of January in 2020, I want to say. Yeah, it was 2020. First week of January, I'm sitting there, I'm getting yelled at about threatening to be fired because I did something wrong, or I didn't really do something wrong, but it was just like, I forget the scenario, but I remember sitting there and getting yelled at. And I'm like, fuck, like, am I not going to do it? Next week, I had a record week. It was record week. It was like $1.5 million in deals, like 30 deals in a week. But that only comes from taking the loss. Like you can sit there and doubt yourself all you want, but at some point, you have to realize that it's not conducive to where you want to be. So you can have all the doubt in the world, but as long as you're still taking action, and you know that doubt is there, then it is what it is. I try not to think it.
Way I see it is like if you try and fail, the worst case is that you learn probably a shit ton. So is it really a failure then? I mean, I don't think so.
You know, one of my best friends, Ronnie, who I've been around the world with, I remember right after I had left the sales job, we were in Split, Croatia. We're walking down the street, and I was so filled. This is after like I had like a month on my own, and like I had an amazing summer so far, and we're there and we're walking on the street, and I'm like, yo, like, dude, like I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get back. Like, it's like I'm so full of doubt if it's not gonna work. And he's like, there's no point to be. He's like, why? He's like, yo, you just gotta like you know what you're doing. You know what to do. Like, there's no reason to doubt yourself, because you just gotta like, you made the decision. Something along the lines like you made the decision, so you stand by that. Like, obviously, like you made the decision. You know what to do. You're not gonna have a hard time doing it. Like, there's no reason to doubt yourself. You just gotta play the ball where it is. I was like, shit. He's right.
Do you think that's a mentality that you're either like born with or you're not, or can you really like instill that in people or in yourself?
I used to be a really bad overthinker, and I still kind of suffer from it sometimes, because that's what happens when you grow up having to analyze every situation. But you can absolutely train it. Like, you just kind of got to shut your brain off at some point and realize that your brain is trying to think you out of, it's a survival mechanism trying to think you out of getting shit done or doing the things you need to do. Right? And it causes laziness, and it causes, what's the word I'm looking for? It causes sloth. Like, you just don't get shit, like, you don't get shit done sitting there doubting yourself all day. And I would rather choose to live a life where I don't live, like, even if that may be there, I'm not living with this fear in the back of my mind. What if this doesn't work? I'm just like, okay, cool. Me knowing who I am, I'm absolutely confident that if I put enough time into something, I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to be really good at it. And then if I really put effort into something, I have a network that I can rely on. I have all the components to make shit happen. So there's no reason for me to doubt myself anymore. And it was something I struggled with for a while, because you have to realize, like, there's always this, like, when you start something, there's always this level of imposter syndrome of like, do I deserve this success? Right? Once you get past that, you realize that it's like, all right, nah, like, I'm really good at what I do. I'm the shit. So if I'm really good at what I do, there's no reason for me to doubt myself, because I'm really good at what I do. When you make that realization, self-doubt kind of goes away. Right? If I have to call somebody and sell something, do you think I doubt myself? Of course not.
Yeah, what was the three or four C's, something? Conviction is the last.
Yeah. Consistency creates confidence. Confidence creates competence. And competence creates conviction. When you do something enough, and if you're consistent enough, you become confident, right? Even if you don't know what the fuck you're saying, if you recite it, like actors, right, who recite lines, they memorize the lines, they become confident in saying the lines. They might not even know what the lines mean, right? A really good actor knows what the lines mean and has them memorized, right? And then when he has both and he's practiced them enough, that's when you get DiCaprio, right? Because he's convicted in what he says. Like, if you watch Django Unchained, when he stabbed his hand, or Revenant, when he climbs in the bear, right? He believes he's there. He's not some bullshit. Yeah. Oh, I'm in the bear.
I'm just acting.
He believes he's there. So, like, at the end of the day, that's the level you get to. And you can get to that level if you practice something enough. Like, same thing as, like, Mason and I play the guitar, right? I know, Trevor, you play, right?
No, I'm working on the piano. Evan was the guitar player.
Evan plays. So, like, if I'm playing guitar, I play guitar enough too. I don't think about playing the guitar. You put your hands on it, things happen, right? Not only am I confident in playing, but I'm competent in playing. and then you get stuff like Jimmy Page solos somewhere on the further end of that, right? You get something like a Since I've Been Loving You, or you get something like a crazy like a maestro level, master level
Van Halen
like
shit. What is it?
Yeah, exactly.
He has that one solo live that's just unreal.
Eruption or something like so.
Yeah.
Eruption, yeah,
Eruption. There it is. Yeah, that he just
shit.
the whole time with a cig in his mouth too. Just,
oh yeah. And so literally, like when you start to do something, you're always gonna feel like you're always gonna get that period of like sucking, like you suck shit, right? I guarantee, like, okay, if I tried to do e-commerce again, I know where my strengths are. My strengths are in branding and positioning and product. I'd partner with an e-commerce guy, but because I'm not at the point now where I can sit there and waste all that time to get good at something when I can just have someone help me and give up like a share, right? But most people, I think, you always got to go through this period of sucking before you get really good at something, because it's like peaks and troughs. Most people never get past that point because they quit too early. If you have no way out, are you going to quit?
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You're never quit if you have no way out. The reason why most people quit anything, right, whatever it is, whatever they want to do or whatever they say that they want to do, is because they're not uncomfortable enough with their situation and they don't have the incentive or the motivation behind it to make it happen. I'm not talking about motivation like watching motivational videos. I'm talking about I can't afford food. Like, I've been there. I can't afford food. That's why I got a job at the sandwich shop, right? I had $11. I could not afford food. I ate beans and rice for a week. Like, I've been there. I know what that motivation is like, where you're going to do anything. You have to do anything possible to make it happen. When I was trying to make the fucking blue light glasses store work, I had to do everything in my power to make it happen. There was no other way out. There was nothing else. What am I going to do? Go back to the fucking sandwich shop?
Yeah.
That's my mentality.
No, it's like in the Army. Like when we were deployed, we were the only engine mechanic, in country. So if the engine wasn't working, we had to fix it. There was no, oh, well, we'll just put this off and we'll fucking wait till tomorrow or whatever. Like, no, lives are depending on you doing your job correctly.
Exactly. And when you see the world, this is not a choice, right? Like, this is not a choice. Beautiful things start to happen, right? I said the other day on Twitter, and I absolutely stand by this. Most people in life are 7 to 14 days of hard, focused effort away from making shit happen. If you sit there in a room in front of your computer for 7 days straight for 12 hours a day, there is no fucking chance. As long as you're doing the right things and not sitting there playing video games or fucking off, for the most part, something's gonna happen.
Kevin, how did we start?
Right.
And called people for 12 hours a day, do you think I would get a meeting? Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
No, that's
It'd be
exactly how we
impossible not
started. I woke up, took an Adderall, and then was just there all day, 14 hours straight, making logos, making websites, making anything I could to get something going. Went to sleep, woke up the next day, did the same exact thing. 2 days in a row, just go, go, go. And Kevin's on the other line the whole time.
Building momentum, absolutely. Yep. Now, right, where you guys are at, the focus shifts from the back end of like logos and branding and everything like that to like, okay, how do we get money in? Yep. Right? Most people usually focus on the wrong things, right? But most of the time it's how do we figure out how to get money in? And that's when you have your business. That's when you have a business. Like, and if you spend 2 weeks reaching out to people as much as possible, trying as hard, genuinely as hard as possible, like no breaks, sitting in front of the computer 12 hours, 14 hours straight, working, making something happen, I really don't think anyone in their right mind, anyone with a brain could come out on the other side and not have anything to show for it.
No you way. Mean to remember that, Trevor, a few months ago when I'm like, how many people have gone like 100% effort on something? Like actually 100%.
Actually giving your all for just do it for 2 days. See what it's like to give something, just one thing your all. I'd like to try it for a month. I want to do one thing for a whole month and see where it would get me if I just put all of my effort in it.
I think that especially if you're just starting out, everything compounds, right? It's like in the gym. everything compounds. If you train the right way when you just get started, you're gonna at 16, you're gonna be so much better off than the guy who just starts at 24, right? That being said, I just did that. That's why I'm here in Stockholm right now, because it's cold and there's no distractions. I did that for about a month. It did wonders for my business, right? Did wonders for all the things I got going on. Terrible for my soul.
How you feeling, man? How you feeling, man?
Fun is a part of my life, and I really enjoy it. But at some point, you have to sit there and really be honest with yourself and be like, look, like, am I giving this 100% effort? Is this in line with where I want to be? Is this in line with my goals? And I realized that, like, I just took 2 months off pretty much to party and go run around Europe and act crazy. So I have to spend time. And like I said at the beginning of this podcast, you have to do the things and never forget to do the things that got you to where you are. I got to where I am by locking in and working really hard. And I realized I haven't been doing that in the best way possible, right? Obviously, you're still working, you're still doing some things, but it's like, nah, like I sat my ass in a chair pretty much for a month and got it done. And
that is one thing. I'm sorry to cut you off. That is one thing I like about your like Twitter feed is like you got this one business side, but like you don't act like you're fucking perfect. Well, not perfect, but like you still fuck around and do like cool shit, like I'll see a video of you lighting a cigarette with a fucking sparkler. I'm like, bro, that is the kind of person I like, bro. Like, let's party and let's get to work.
Well, you have to have a harmony. I hate the word balance, work-life balance, because like a lot of people talk about work-life balance. My work is my life and my life is my work, right? Mm-hmm. I just build the cool shit in, right? I'm going back to LA in 4 days, 27th. I'm going back to LA in 4 days. I'm literally going to, I think I'm either going to lock my passport away or I'm going to give it to my boy and say, don't let me travel for the next 2 months, right? Or don't let me travel until 2023. Because where I'm at right now, like, I'm so, like, locked in and kind of focused on and sharp on the direction and the things that I need to do as an entrepreneur and the projects that I have coming along. Like, no one's really heard about this. I'm building a whole new company. It's gonna make genuinely. I think it's going to make fucking waves in the way that people do, the way that creators do things and people do things, like especially with social. But it's gonna be sick. And I'm doing that, and that our first project for that is almost launched. I think it's gonna launch Monday or Tuesday, right? This Monday coming up. But that being said, it's like that I'm doing all the things that I'm working on, and then also building new things. Like I launched the email list, I totally revamped CS, like all of these things that I'm working on. It's like I still don't feel like we're doing enough, but a lot of it is I had to sit down because it's what I'm good at. And when I lock in, right? When I party, I don't think about work. If I'm traveling, I'm not really thinking about work. I'm getting work done, but I'm not really like, you're not in a growth stage when you're flying here. Last year, I took 60 something flights, right? I did, I think 13 different countries last year, right? Now I finally found and created that focus to now where it's like, okay, like I know how we're going to move the needle with the things going on, to where it's like, I know exactly what needs to happen. I know exactly where we're going to go and exactly what we need to do. And I'm focused and I'm sharp and I'm locked in on that vision.
Yeah, I'm getting actually pretty good at focusing because so one thing I never really did growing up was watching TV, and I actually want to hear what you got on this too. I got a girlfriend recently as well in February, so that's one thing she likes to do. It's an easy thing for me to do. It's a good compromise, but sometimes when I'm sitting there, I'm like, fuck, dude, I could be working right now. Like my computer's right across that wall. Like I'm one email away from becoming huge. Like, what am I doing here? But I have learned to just look, this is important for my future. If I want a future with kids and her to be my wife, if I want a real life, I have to kind of separate it from also my copywriting, my business, my go. So and even like there's days if I'm going for 12 hours, it's hard for me to sit down and sleep because I'm thinking about all the shit I just did or thinking what I could do tomorrow. Yeah. So with that girlfriend, you have a girlfriend, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that go while you're over here 30 days away from her? How does she feel about that?
She's here with me.
Oh, shit.
She's here with me.
Oh, okay.
I saw the video Tate did. He's like, guys, if you have one girlfriend, then you have so much more energy, and it's so true. Like, when I was dating a bunch of girls, right? When I was single, dude, I was a party animal. Like, dude, like when I'm saying like I was on the scene, and actually I didn't really get to go out in LA because as soon as I met, like I went out with Sebastian the night after, like when he told that day that he told me, he was like, you know, if I know in 6 months I'd be a millionaire again. That night we went out and met my girlfriend, right? I had not really lived or gone out or partied in LA because when I was there, that whole 6 months that I was there, I was traveling back and forth. I had to go to Philly. I was in Miami. I was in Mexico. I was back. I went to Austin. Like I did like 6 months, but I was building my business, bro. Like I was locked in. I wasn't
exactly what happened to me.
I was going out. I wasn't going out on the fucking weekends. I wasn't going out for drinks. I wasn't going out to the bar. I was like, it was Fridays. It was 7 days a week. I was building my business. And like now, it's so like when I was dating girls 3 to 4 nights a week, I would be out. I would be drinking. I would be partying. That's not the best environment to build or grow, right? You're hungover. You're not getting much done. You're sleeping till 3 p.m. Like now, you know, I can still do that, but somebody to share it with. And also financially, I can, wherever I go, I can afford obviously to bring her with me.
Yeah.
Right. Because all it is the cost of a flight ticket versus if you're still paying for the hotel, it's the same price for one person as for two, right? So like I have so much more time and energy because she's awesome and she takes care of all the things that, you know, I'm not so good at. Like when I'm really locked in, I'm not thinking about what I'm gonna cook for dinner. Like She takes care of that for me, right? Like I don't know if you guys can see, she just brought me double espresso and a cappuccino while I was on the call. She just came around the desk and handed it to me, right? So I have so much more energy now. And I saw Tate do this video. It's like, guys with one girlfriend, you guys should be conquering the world. He's absolutely right. Because, and it's also like about communication. Whereas if you can communicate, like your girl likes to watch TV, right? And I'll tell you the truth, if you really, really, really want to work, she should not feel like you're taken away from, like you're not spending time with her. She should never feel like you have to compromise. You should never feel like, as a man, you should never feel like you have to compromise on your vision and dream to sit there on the couch and watch TV. You just got with her, right? You said?
Yeah, it's eight months.
Okay, yeah. So get clear on like, look, like this is just my advice to you, bro.
Yeah.
If you can get clear with her and be like, look, like I really want to build this, right? Not only for me, but for us, right? Bring her in as a part of that vision. I don't know if she watched the podcast, but she'll appreciate what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Like, if she understands that you are doing this not only for your future, but for your future, and this is really important to you and it's something that you have to do, then you can't watch TV right now because your mind is racing, which means if your mind is racing, you can't devote undivided attention to her. And if you can't devote undivided attention to her, then what's the point? That's like sitting there on a date with somebody sitting on the phone the whole time. So, like, make it clear, like, you can spend less time with that person, but it can feel like more time, right? By being able to have that undivided attention. Yeah. And like, that's the way I think about it, bro. It's like, you know, I told my girlfriend, I said, look, like, for the next month when we're in Sweden, I'm not going out. I'm not drinking. I'm not partying. I'm not doing anything besides I'm sitting in the room and I'm locking in and I'm building my thing. And now I told her last night, a couple days ago, and I've been saying this. I'm like, babe, like, I'm not going out unless it's like for like an event or like my friend's birthday or something. Not going out because for the next 3 months, I want to see how hard of a push I can make to set myself up for next year. And I said, I think if I can continue this, I'll hit a million liquid by this time next year. Right? Most people be like, oh, why are you telling your girl about that? It's like, no, like, I want her to understand and be completely clear on the expectations of like, babe, like, I'm not going to be going out because I have a bigger vision, and that's not aligned. That other shit is not aligned with my vision, right? It's not that I'm not spending time with her. It's that if we're gonna do something, I'm gonna be completely there with her when I take a break. But this is my main focus, and it's not only for me; it's for us, our future, whatever it is, right? So, if that's really on your mind, and it sounds like it is because you're telling me, like, Dave, like I gotta, like, look, like I want to watch TV with you. Just watch it on your computer. I got shit to do.
Because you're not doing nothing though. Like you're building something for the both of y'all. It's not like you're out fucking.
Yeah, it was just so I'm in my mind a lot. I probably shit, man. I talk to myself. I think we all talk to ourselves more than we talk to anyone else in the whole world ever, obviously. But when I'm in my mind, that's like one of the things I'm trying to because especially now with Andrew Tate running around and all the bad shit following him with the female. Just getting with females and all that. I'm trying to kind of compromise more because later on in the future, I know she's worth my time and worth whatever I'm doing now for her. So like if I am sitting down watching TV, I know and I'm willing to make it up tomorrow while she's at work. I'm willing to grind harder tomorrow. It's just not I'm not getting that time when I'm on or when I'm watching TV. You know what I'm saying? I'm just losing the extra time to build it with her.
Just tell her.
All right.
I mean,
well, shit.
You
Don't
got
mind if I do.
Communication, bro. Yeah, that's everything.
She's gonna probably watch this anyway. Like, just tell her.
Yeah.
Just be like, yo, I got things to do. Like, I don't have time to sit here and watch TV. I love you, but like, I don't have time to sit here and watch this fucking TV right now. I got shit to do. Like, I'm trying to get paid. Like,
that's what it is, bro.
Like, this. Like, I'm sitting here watching TV. I ain't doing this. What the fuck am I doing? Like, if you're sitting there asking yourself, what the fuck am I doing? Probably just tell her, be honest with her, because that's bullshit. You know? Like,
it's not always, but like I said, I could watch probably like 2 episodes. But if we go past that, I'm like, oh shit.
You're sitting there, you're thinking about business. You're thinking about doing your thing. There's no point, bro. There's no point.
Yo.
Hey, time to wake up, Trev.
She was watching TV tonight. I'm sitting here on the computer, bro. I'm like, oh yeah, babe, this show's good.
yeah.
I love Grey's Anatomy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then what you do is, I don't know, but then what you do is you ask questions about the show to make it look like you're paying it. Oh yeah. That guy. Oh wow. Yeah. So that. Guess what? She gonna feel like you're in it, bro.
Yeah. Oh wait, that's the guy from last scene. Yeah. Oh shit! No, quit playing.
Oh my god! No. So she's with her, right? Oh my god, he's with her. Oh, she cheated on him. Right? Oh shit! Wow. Damn. Oh, I like this show. That's the fucking
show. Put the next one on.
That's the game.
Mine is she's such a bitch, isn't she?
yeah. We don't like that bitch, right?
All the time, or she'll know that what you're doing. It's like, like, oh, let's watch TV. I'm like, nah, I got shit to do, but yeah, cool. Oh yeah, put a movie on. Yeah, all right. Back to whatever I was doing.
Yeah. She'll bitch until the money starts rolling in, bro. That's the way I see it.
I mean, if like unsolicited opinion, if she's bitching about you working, she's not the one for you.
No, she don't. That's why I asked, because she is good about it. She's a great girl.
But if you need to sit there and be like, yo, I need 2 years, I need to focus on my business, and I need to focus on everything I'm doing, we ain't watching any more TV. See what she says.
Fuck, dude.
Shit,
valuable advice, though.
Hey, David, I gotta move from Florida. You got a spot in LA for me, bro?
I said to my girl, I said, babe, I said, listen, I said, I'm not going out for the next 3 months. I said, we're sitting in the house, and I said, I'm sitting in the house and working. She goes, okay, let me know what you need me to do.
That's a down bitch right there.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. She said, okay. That was the conversation. I said, I'm working. Okay.
Yep.
That was it.
And you met her in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did want to bring that up. You said it was the first time you went out. You know what Gasparilla is in Florida, in Tampa?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. So I when I got out the military, it was like 8 months of transitioning out of the military. It was horrible, of just sitting in my room doing nothing, being depressed. But I stopped drinking and everything. When I got home, my brother hit me up to go to that, and I was like, you know what, man? I ain't been out drinking in a while, haven't drank at all. Fuck it, I'll do it. And yeah, same thing like you, just met my girlfriend, and was like, I just quit drinking for the past year, and now maybe I should drink a little more. I get a couple drinks in me a little more.
I mean, it's not a like if people if like you kind of sitting there thinking like if you have a problem or not, then you probably do. But I never saw like stuff like that. Like what I'm doing now is like I'm living like a very monastic lifestyle, right? Pretty much just working out. I'm going to dinner like twice a week still. Like I still go to dinner. Like I eat it like one of my things is I spend a lot of money on going to dinner. I spend like 5 to 7 grand a month on going out to eat when I'm in LA because LA is kind of expensive.
Yeah.
But the reason is because that's how I reward myself when I work hard.
Yeah.
Right. I'll go to a restaurant like the Nice Guy or the Lila and it's $400. Like the shit like Drake will rap about. Like I'll go there. It's like $300-400 for dinner. Sometimes it's like 200 for drinks. Like I don't care. I'll take my friends out. And like that's my time that like I just take away from the work. Right. Like one of my boys. Like I hit the gym with my boy, who I actually met from Twitter. Who's cool as shit. And it's his birthday coming up, so I'll probably go out for that. But like, I'm right now. I'm living I'm living kind of like a monk. And I was thinking about this. I haven't lived this way in about 7 years, since before I went to college. And that was a crazy thought to me. It's like I haven't taken 1 week or 1 month of like not going out, not partying, not doing whatever in like 7 years. I was like, damn. But like I said, it did wonders for the business.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna keep going because it's like, what are my goals now that I'm 25 years old? Like, what are my goals and what am I gonna do? So that's kind of like.
Do you ever
that's
see
how I think
yourself?
about
You ever see yourself weeding it out completely, just never going out at all? I just can't see it.
Nah, man, no way. Maybe like the smoking thing, because like I never like felt like I was like addicted to like smoking or anything, but it was like you have a cigar here and there, like you're out, like you're on a boat in the Mediterranean or something like that. Like yeah, y'all have a cigarette, like sure. So I could like the thing is the lifestyle is just like you can't not like if you're on like. I'm on boats in Miami and shit. Like, of course I'm gonna have fun. Like, of course I'm gonna have fun.
Come on.
Someone offers me an American Spirit Black on a boat in Miami, bro.
Like,
Desperately.
An American Spirit.
One of the Twitter guys was like, he was on the boat. So my birthday, we took out a boat. Me and Cold Email Wizard, if you know who that is. Me and him, we share like our birthdays are like 4 days apart, right? Dan's my boy, fucking beast. So we got a yacht, about I think it was 120 feet or something for our birthdays. I think it was like 12 grand. But like a couple people on the boat like weren't drinking. I was like, what? Like, bro, we're on a 120-foot boat in Miami. You're not drinking. What? Like, well, I respect it, but like, come on. So the life's like the thing is like with the life I live, and it's like you can't I couldn't not do it. It's too much fun. But I think I think there's actually only 2 people that I consume content from, like in terms of like video form, and that's obviously Andrew, and then there's Iman Ghazi.
I was gonna ask about Iman next.
And I watch Sebastian, right? Because Sebastian's my boy. And he's completely like I remember when he was talking about like kicking up his YouTube channel, and like he's doing it, and it's fucking awesome to see the results. So like yeah, I only consume content pretty much from like those 3 people, and one of them I know personally, which is dope. But and I was listening to this thing, it's like and Iman's talking about, it's like yeah, it's like 9 months I work and then 3 months I party. So I think this year, being 25 now, I think this year that's what it's going to be. 9 months I work, and then next summer I'll party.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like I can't. If I like genuinely like, I was thinking about this. Like in life, it's like you always have trade-offs, right? The harmony. I can have the harmony and continue kind of at the same growth rate that I'm at right now, and still live the same life. But I think the progress and the results will be exponential if I spend 90% of my time working, 10% on fun.
Yeah. The fun is important, man. The fun's really important. You get burnt out if you don't.
It's absolutely important, but also like you have to think about like why you're having fun. Like if you're going out and you're trying to meet girls, right? Okay, I've already accomplished that, right? I have a girl, right? why do I need to go to like I don't really need to be going to the club besides if it's with my boys and just flexing, right? So is that conducive to where I want to be? Spending 3 grand. Like we went to the same club. Like we went to this place called Now Pool Club. We spent 8.5 grand in euros in one Sunday afternoon. Right? Like
I seen the
Not
receipt
bad.
for that. Yeah.
and I posted the receipt on Twitter and I got a bunch of hate. Oh, you're flexing. Doesn't matter. But like we spent 8,500 euros in one Sunday afternoon. It's like, is that conducive to like where I want to be? No. But was it fun? Yeah. So you kind of have this balance, and I think managing the balance is like, okay, like I know that if I spend 90% of my time working, I've seen what I've done this month. Imagine if it was 11, or, even 9 months out of the year, maybe even 11 months out of the year. I think my progress would be exponential.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of just where I'm at, and it's kind of just what I want. Like I want some fancy shit. I'm trying to buy some property around the world. Get a couple residencies, new passports. So I need a ton of money. I need like at least like $1 million to get those things. And it's like, okay, like how quickly can I do that?
Yeah,
Right.
that's important to know what you want. Like for me, that's what I asked Kevin when we first started. I said, Kevin, what would you do with your first 15 grand? What do you want? And we just went through it. Mine was a Corvette. I want an old Corvette, and I bought it already. I just sold my car and bought it because I didn't want to wait. I got a 79, and it's in the shop still, so that's awesome. But yeah, kind of knowing you got to have something like laid out to shoot after every single day you're grinding. Like if you know, like I know I want another pair of nice shoes. I bought a pair of nice shoes. I wear them to the gym. I wear them wherever I go. If I go out, I wear them. I want another pair. And then I want my girlfriend to have a nice pair of shoes. And then if my brother comes out with me and he's broke, fuck it. I'll get him a pair of shoes. I want me and the people around me looking nice. And how much am I going to need to do that? A decent amount of fucking money. So let's get to work.
I spend an ungodly amount on the best thing is like my chick never asks for anything. Like my girl never asks for anything. She gets everything.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Kevin kind of told me that. We were at the mall. I met up with him last month. We were just at the mall. I bought my pair of shoes the day before, and my girlfriend was there. And we walked by a jewelry store. And my girlfriend has already mentioned to Kevin that she just wanted a normal ring. She wears like the $10 fake rings from Walmart, gets the horrible green fucking wrap around it because it's fake jewelry. And we were walking right past it, and Kevin just like pushed me in there. I'm like, son, bitch. I guess I'm doing
do it, bro.
And I'm
what
like,
the fuck?
I should. Like, what am I waiting for? I should be buying shit like that for my girlfriend who's taking care of me at home while I'm fucking grinding. Like that's her job. This is my job.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's always really cool to do. I flew my mom out to Europe. Last month, I think. Was that last month? Yeah, last month. I flew a month and a half ago. I flew my mom out to Europe. It's cool to do stuff like that, right? But the thing is like your vision. I talk about that. I always say like your scope always changes, right? The more money you make, your scope changes, right? Like I know that I need $1 million just on the exit, just on like the exit strategy alone, right? Like, okay, if I want European, like let's say European Union residency, so I can get it for a year. Right? That's not probably going to be enough. I can buy a property and get a fast track to Greek citizenship if I spend 250,000 euros. I do want to. I want to buy a villa in Naxos, right, where is my favorite island in the Greek Isles. I want to buy a villa there. Okay, cool. So that's handled. So I need 250 for that. Then if I get another passport, it's about 100, 150, right? USD. We're already at 400. Stuff like that. Like you want then what's it going to cost in terms of like, okay, if I want to get a car over there, like it's like at least like $500,000 to set all these things up, right? So how can we grow the business? Do I want a corporation in Dubai? How much is it going to cost for a Dubai resident? Like stuff like this is stuff that I'm thinking about, like part of the master plan. And then you have like other shit, like, okay, what kind of car do I want to drive? What kind of house do I want to live in? All that stuff is like, cool. That's the materialistic vision. And then the fulfillment vision, which is like, okay, like, how can I make the money? How do I do it in the right way? So,
yeah. No, man, I think that's what'd you say?
There's like a lot of stuff, and it's just like, okay, then it's like like there's so many different things. Like, okay, how much do I want to pour into investments? How can I maximize the most fun? Like, how can I save 80% of what I make and spend 20%? What are the thresholds? It's a mess. But once you start to kind of expand that horizon of things that you're able to do, then the world kind of opens up and it's kind of like your playground, and then you kind of get to make the decision and kind of get to play the ball where it is. It's cool.
It's a good problem to have, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But on that, I think you got anything else to say, man? You got?
No, I appreciate you guys.
I wanted to ask one more thing real quick.
Okay.
So, what are most young men missing?
Self-confidence.
Yeah.
Why was that so quick?
Self-confidence, because I know how it is, because the men of the world are getting beat up right now. They're getting beat up by an agenda. They're getting beat up by what they see on social media, their attention spans. They're consuming content that is not conducive to anything that we used to be as a society. And I think young men also are missing the biggest thing that they're missing is the ability to tell others to tell others no, and to tell other people to go get fucked. Right? I said this on Sam Matheson's podcast, but to be honest, like if you had a world of young men who were thinking for themselves and were not so utterly consumed by what they see on the internet. Like most guys are invisible nowadays, right? Like they're legitimately invisible, and I know how it feels to be one of those people. When I was younger, when I was like 16, 17, I know how it feels. 18, right? And it's not a good feeling to have. And instead of rising up and kind of taking their life into their own hands, they're meek and they're accepting of their situation, and they don't really do anything to change it. What they're missing is self-confidence, but not in the just be confident kind of way. They're missing the methodology and the skill set. They're missing the opportunity to develop that. Those things don't exist anymore. Right? They tell kids who are dominant in sports, they tell, you're playing too hard, you're playing too rough, right? If you're playing soccer, you're playing football, like don't hit them that hard, right? Like that doesn't. They do these things. They give everyone a participation trophy.
Yeah.
Life is a participation trophy, right? So a lot of people, like I'm so thankful that there are communities that exist for things like men's mental health and like for, to become better, right? But at the end of the day, you can listen to all the things that you want. You can lead a horse to water, but can't force him to drink. And if you take a guy who's genuinely super depressed and he hates his life and he's thinking about something like suicide, or he's thinking about ending it, or he's not genuinely not happy in his situation, he doesn't know how to start. He doesn't know how to get out of there. Seeds of doubt grow into forests of inaction, like I said. And if you don't have the path, if you don't have a way, if you don't have something to do, if you don't have any step of action, right? You can think you want this amazing life. Young guys can think all they want. But you can't outthink a bad situation. You have to act, like I said. And to tie that all back together, like at the end of the day, dude, like if you have a guy like where I was, like when I was like 17, I remember like I wanted the life that I live now to the T. I live genuinely an amazing life, and I had if you told me that I would say how. If you told me that at 17 that I was gonna be who I am at 20 when I was 24, 25, you'd be like, what? How? Like I'd be like, how? What did I do? Everyone needs a plan. I don't think people lack the work ethic. I think most people aren't lazy people. They just don't know what to do, and there's so much choice and so much so many decisions that they have to make that they would rather people make the decisions for them. Took somebody in a really bad situation and you gave him a plan, right? Let's say you gave him a plan. Let's say he's super depressed, he's skinny, he's not in shape, he's skinny, fat, whatever. And you took his ass and you said, yeah, we're going to go to the gym every day. You're going to read this book. You're going to do this. You're gonna eliminate these bad thoughts, and here's exactly how you're gonna eliminate those bad thoughts. Here's exactly how you're gonna get yourself out of negative self-talk. You're gonna go to the gym. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do this. Right? Maybe it's getting the fight gym. Maybe it's like really throw yourself into action. So many people would have more self-confidence, and that's what I think we're missing. And that's why I think we've seen such a what is the word? A massive awareness in the things that are going on in men's lives and young men's lives, especially because it's all based off of this narrative that has been pushed on them, shoved down their throats. And finally, we're starting to see a change. So that's what I think people are missing. And if anyone listens to this and is in that type of situation, you have to throw yourself into a state of action. There is no other way out of it. That's it.
Good shit, man. Great answer. Great answer. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's a pleasure. I'm excited to get into this realm of the internet. It's very exciting for me and Kevin both.
Appreciate you guys.
But yeah, looking forward to seeing you again. Hopefully come over there to LA. Fuck it. Me and Kevin ain't been out there yet.
Nope.
But yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure, Kev. Kev, you got anything?
No, just super thankful for you to coming on, bro. Amazing.
I appreciate it. I haven't done a podcast in a while, so I'm happy I got to do yours. It's interesting again to kind of articulate thoughts and everything on the camera and kind of do those things. But no, I appreciate you guys having me on. Any other final thoughts?
No, man, just ready to go up now, ready to get to work. Cool. Got me pumped. Got to go take some action real quick. Cool. But all right, man. Awesome. Yeah, we'll catch you later. Appreciate it. Peace.